I'm always messing that up. I apologize. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Landmark, episode 39.
Another odd number. Yay!
Another odd number. I'm always messing that up. I apologize. And I can hear myself. Mute myself. There we go.
Allow myself to introduce
myself. Oh god, we need to get Dyford up here. Just have him have him in Skype, but you just don't see him.
Oh my god!
On screen, and he just punching buttons and stuff.
That would be insane.
That'd be funny. We have to talk Dyford into doing that. Maybe one day.
Well, we just get him on TeamSpeak, so just you and he on TeamSpeak in a channel. So, yeah.
He needs to get one of those
Again.
I'm hearing somebody. Hold up. There we go. Sound muted. I forgot I had TeamSpeak still open too. So, all right. So tonight we're going to be talking about Takish, and pretty much, as y'all know, tonight at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time is the cutoff for the Takish builds and stuff. So everybody's in a rush to get things going, I guess you
finished.
could say. Yeah, get it all finished and all that kind of stuff. So I figured this would be a great opportunity for us to kind of go over everything for those that are just building Takish and don't know what they're building. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I've got all the concept art and all that kind of stuff, and we'll be talking about it kind of as we go. Murin. Rush? Who's rushed? I'm not rushed. So
And that's why Murin's not here tonight.
so says. Yeah, so says the lady who has probably the single biggest Takish build in all of the builds. I think she has totally outdone everybody on size this time, and man, it's going to be pretty insane. But definitely, I can't wait to see that thing finish. That thing's going to be just fabulous.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of bring up some artwork here, and you guys probably won't be able to see it until it does come up, but I'll kind of talk about the whole thing as it's coming up and all that. So here we go, and boom, there it goes. That's the first image that we have for the Takish competition, and that is basically the society. And I guess we could read this off. The elves of Norath are taller, slender humanoids gifted with immense beauty and unmatched grace. They are exceedingly powerful and proud, with an affinity for magic and history of empires. More than any other combined race, elves are enamored with magic and the power that represents their history, culture, and social customs. Are defined by their constant, obsessive pursuit of magic and how they will wield it when they have it. Let's see here. We have...
They look absolutely evil.
They look like snot-nosed little pricks. It makes me want to punch them.
Like your character in that thing you played today.
Yeah. Modern elves grew up hearing first and second-hand accounts of the fallen Takish Empire, inspired by their ancestors who wielded the legendary high magic to gain power that rivaled even the gods. Brought low by the Empire's defeat, current generations of elves are learning to work with the other races in the Combine, but their ancient culture and prejudices will not change overnight. While not often overtly racist or prejudiced, most elves' social interactions with other races have an aspect of arrogance to them. Internally, elf society is defined by prominent families vying for power, political, economical, or magical. Bloodline is very important, and elves are
Sound
often...
like Klingons.
Yeah, they do. We just need to give them that bone right up their nose or something, right? Bloodline is very important, and the elves are judged by the house they are from. Every aspect of life is an opportunity to prove their superiority of themselves, their family, and their race. Elf craftsmanship is unparalleled in its ability to combine beauty and practicality without compromising either. Elves, Practicality, that's what it says.
Dude, there is nothing about those builds that's practical, but whatever.
Very true. Without compromising either. Elves typically wear light clothing made from fine materials. Fashion, like all beauty, is very important of elf culture, and even the simplest of events requires a well thought out outfit. Man, it sounds like Katina.
What? Don't even. You change your clothes over to anybody I know for every show. Oh, what about this T-shirt?
It's true. It's true. It's true. I got to admit it. During the peak of the Takish Empire, elves were star travelers. Space gypsies comes to mind off the top of my head. Now they're just stargazers, but wanderlust to explore the cosmos is still ingrained in their culture. Heavenly bodies, stars, moons, planets, galaxies are primary motifs, and their sigils are smooth and elegant. Wow. So
They just turned them into Vulcan.
we can pretty much we can pretty much assume that we should be seeing quite a bit of moons and all that kind of stuff. So I think
Space elves. Yeah, thinking.
Yeah, I think that kind of takes us to our next image here, which is the original concept piece that they gave us.
Not to interrupt, but Tozip says WoW has space goats, so why not space elves?
Well, you're very Tozab is dead on with that, by the way. This is the original concept piece they gave us, and pretty much the only Daybreak artwork they really gave us.
Yep.
All the other artwork was not done by Daybreak. So, which was kind of interesting in my point of view. Yeah. You know, when I looked at this artwork, I was like, huh? You know, I just, I was really turned away from the whole concept just by this image. I was not thrilled with it. It just seemed like the developers really did not think about what we could or could not do in the game cleanly. And quite a few people did pretty good on it. I was actually kind of impressed with that. But
Did we ever get any elven furniture props?
no. No,
We got no
none.
props.
None.
Nothing.
I saw some elven furniture concept art at one point, and it kind of made me wonder how on earth we're supposed to make things like chairs that intricate. But
Yeah, it's here on this page.
Yeah, well,
but
actually, I forgot to make the slide for those, but I had that. I had those images. I just forgot to make the slides for it. I apologize. But yeah, this is pretty much the first piece they gave us, and then they kind of gave us these other concept pieces, which were done by Gensan.
I was interested in the other link.
Yeah, now the cool thing about the ones that Gensan did, he took into account what we could do in the game.
Dude, I'm
Versus
so glad they hired him. Jeez.
Now, even some of what he has here in the concept really is not exactly possible. But it's closer to what we could do in the game, which I was kind of happy about that. I was kind of happy that they did contract him for this. You know, it would have been awesome. Like, if you notice that at the bottom of this image, there are some trees and planters. I would have loved to have had those trees as props.
The spiral trees, yeah.
Yes, yes. The spiral trees and, you know, even the little stalls and stuff like that, if that had been given to us prior to the competition. The chairs, some lanterns, you know, and what I have never quite understood is if they are the ones that pick the competitions now, because we don't vote for it anymore, that was pretty much done away with. If they're in charge of that, why don't we have that ahead of time?
Yeah.
Fair
But for
point.
me, the one thing I'm glad that they did get Ginzan for is he's an active builder that knows what our tools can do.
Yeah.
Versus them saying, "Oh, we want this. Hope you can do it."
Yeah.
He's like, "I know what we can and can't do, and how far we can probably push."
Cody makes a comment here. The curved ramp is not practical. Yeah.
Well,
Unless they're
it is.
using skateboards.
well, no, to them because they said the Takish are too lazy to take stairs. They want ramps. They want it simple.
So
Easy.
they just sit down at the top and slide down on their butt. What?
I would.
Well,
Why not?
I see something of a conflict of interest in that statement there. I mean, I understand about the ramps being practical or not being practical, but if they want things easy, why do they make everything all weird shaped? I mean,
Because it's pretty. They think it's pretty.
oh, so pretty, but I don't know. I can't. No.
All right, here comes the next concept piece. Now this one was the one where I was like, what the heck is that? I can understand the smaller towers, but that one big one at the top that looks like I don't know, a nut, a bolt or something, that one kind of threw me off. That one does not look like anything else that we've seen for the Takish at all.
Observatory, right?
Still
So
distracting.
for star. Well, it's for stargazing.
I don't.
Still distracting.
Yeah, it just doesn't look right for the build. But you know, the concept piece that they've got here is you know that they've given us so far. They have got imagery of stuff that we possibly, you know, could need in the game, that and whatnot, right? What?
Katina, why you?
Why are you laughing?
Because I misread what Cody said. He goes, "I agree, Temma. It's ugly," but I read it.
I agree. Tim is ugly.
Well, it's true.
I was being quiet. I didn't
I'm not
laugh
that
out loud.
I'm not that pretty. I can agree with it.
Well, okay, so I'll go ahead and be the one that brings this part of this whole thing up here. With a build like what you have right now up on your stream right now, there's a glaring problem. The LOD doesn't actually allow that build to be seen properly.
Right. Especially really tall buildings.
Yeah, the one that I went to go look at, the really big one on your stream earlier today, Tenma, I wanted to get a picture of it, but it just wasn't possible to do because half of the top half was completely cut off, and then the bottom half was also cut off. I mean, it couldn't be done. Everything's going to look really weird.
Gotcha. Now, I kind of get back to this imagery here. Notice down in the bottom, on either side of the main building, we have, it looks like a little picnic area or something on the right side. And then on the left side, we have a gazebo. I was expecting to see that gazebo in the game, and I don't think I've seen anyone build that.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
I could have built that. I didn't even see it.
But I mean, there are some small buildings in this imagery that I didn't see anybody else build.
Yeah.
And you know, I just found that kind of interesting. But for the most part, I mean, this imagery is pretty cool. I think there's a poop ton of glass in that building for sure.
I like it.
All right.
I like the glass.
Then I see the next slide I have is of interior. And that is the interior of the building. And I thought that actually came out looking pretty good. Some of the super fine detail work, you know, it's hard to do that super fine detail work on the scale that we're doing the voxels in.
I'm impressed that this is a drawing.
Yeah. Looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the speed at which he put these out.
Yeah, he was putting out like an image a day at one point. It was pretty. It had to have been like a non-stop, you know. And the size of these images are actually mammoth. 7,000 by like 4,000 in pixel size.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're huge. Because when
that's a bit redonkulous right there. That's huge.
When I brung them into Photoshop, I was like, "Holy crap!" And I kept resizes to get that thing in there. Yeah, and I am like superly disappointed that they did not give us the doorways. They didn't give us you know props for this build. At all.
And
I think when we run into a situation like this where they're under some constraints, they should put competitions out in the future a little bit so that they have time to build the assets we need in order to make these things the way that they're going to want them.
Well, it's the whole fact that, you know, yeah, I can understand it when we were picking the competitions, you know, we were doing the voting, and they didn't know exactly who was going to win the competition through the voting system. But now they're the ones that are saying, "Hey, we're going to do this competition this time. We're going to do this."
So I suppose it would just have been way too much to ask to have them have the assets ready to go and then have us vote for something and then just give us the assets for that.
Yeah.
Would that just have been am I just completely off the deep end here?
Well, if they're the ones that are dictating what we're going to be doing as a competition, then they should already have the assets ready for us.
Because they know what's coming.
They know what's coming, you know?
You're right, Portivar. I don't feel like they really held up their end for this competition.
They nowhere near held up their end of the bargain.
Nope. They said we have the doors and possibly door frames that went with them. They said we'd have props for inside, furniture. We got nothing.
Yeah, this season, the problem with this time of year is just most people take a vacation of some sort at the, during this period of time.
Then they should have held off on it.
And that's why. That's why they should have put it off.
Yeah.
Now, they gave us almost a month for this competition, especially with that downtime from the directed denial of service attacks, which they didn't have to give us no time on that, honestly. That was just a goodwill measure or something, at least the way I kind of look at that.
Well, Tim, in your travels this week throughout Landmark on the Takish stuff, did you see much furniture, Takish-style furniture made from Voxes?
I saw quite a bit.
Okay.
I know that the majority of the ones that I did see, I think Knobwinkle made some excellent ones.
Yes, he did.
He did some really good furniture.
It's the only one I remember seeing.
But he didn't make a lot of stuff, you know.
Nope.
But what he did make was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And,
using Shatari's technique, right?
Yeah, that was the only thing he submitted.
Was that couch?
Murin said that Thrift made some as well.
I don't recall that.
It wasn't. I don't think it was submitted yet, and that's why I haven't seen it.
We'll see it this week. We're going to be touring Takish, so
yeah.
One of the reasons we're doing the show today.
Yeah, we're bringing Geo up to speed.
Thank you.
That's what the show is today, pretty much, is bringing Geo up to speed so he knows what to look for and stuff, as you know, and actually has some background with the Takish and stuff, and I think it'll help him quite a bit. So, let's jump to the next image here, which is the ruined version of that same room. So we got the pristine version of the room, and now we have a ruined version of that same exact room. I do believe it is.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe it's the same room.
Yeah, you can kind of see that there. Pretty interesting when you overlap them like this. Oh, that's cool. Okay, but it looks pretty cool. It's a darkening of quite a few of the colors, and you can see.
Oh, that's cool, Tinma.
Yeah, how
That's
you.
really cool.
Yeah, how you flip back and forth. It's cool.
I've never. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool overlay there, right?
Yeah, well done, man. Bravo.
But what they did here is, I thought it looks pretty cool because you can actually see how, you're missing pieces and the glass is broken out and all that kind of stuff. And they did say they wanted quite a few ruins, probably more than they wanted the main buildings. But the way I kind of looked at it is, well, if they have clean ones, they can destroy them in however they needed in their way. But that's how I looked at it.
Well, they did say they want to have it pristine.
Yeah. So, but I just found this kind of interesting. You can really see some of the details that you really didn't notice in the other version. Like right here at the very top. Excuse me. See the little.
God.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Your daughter's awesome. She gave you the hookup. But if you really look at this, you can see all the breakups of all the different voxeling work and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
We don't know, Cody. That's private between them and Ginsan, what they paid him.
All right. But for all the ruins and stuff I've seen so far, there's quite a few out there. I think some of the mixture of textures that they did give us, like the cracked marble, the cracked gold, those were really leaps and bounds for us, at least, when it came down to the materials.
Oh yeah.
So
huge.
yeah, in terms of this has truly been
Yeah.
a landmark competition. I mean, we got stuff in this that was game changing. And if you're a builder,
now, one thing I'd like to kind of say here, they've given us cracked versions of the marble for the Takish. They gave us the cracked versions for the gold. I'd like to see cracked versions of the slate. Some of the other stones.
Yeah.
I'd love to have those as more textures for our palettes, because not everything that we build, not everybody's into the competition stuff.
okay. Yeah,
You know?
I have a request. Can we get a cracked version of the water?
Cracked version.
God, yeah.
Someone mute him.
I don't get it.
You can't crack water,
I don't think you can crack
You
water.
can if it's ice.
He said water, he didn't say ice.
You can crack oil.
Ice is water. Technically, it's just a different state.
State.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
So you,
Now, but yeah, I think that having the cracked versions of those other materials would actually benefit quite a few players that may not be into the competition stuff. Yeah, it was good for us for the competition, but I mean, look at like Trelawnist. He's been working on that other build, that huge like castle that I went to the day.
That was gorgeous.
And I mean, guys that are working on some other stuff would definitely benefit from some of that cracked material.
Yep, definitely.
But let's jump over to our imagery again. We're going from the ruins to the sewers. Now, almost all the sewer systems that I went to and checked out and all that kind of stuff, the most of those went into wild card for me. Under just me going through this stuff, it went into wild card land because I didn't do anything with the sewer systems, and all I could do was point out things that could be readily fixed pretty easily. And I would have definitely I spent some time today and went back into those folders inside of Landmark again today, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
Trying to see if there was something that was slipped in that we didn't know about. Because I do it on occasion now, just to see.
Anything new?
There are some crates
We'll
in
this
there.
Tinma's Crazy Ivan.
Yeah. You see the little crate that's down in the bottom right-hand corner there, right? We have that crate. But there are like 3 other crates in there. One where the top has been removed.
Yeah.
One where it's the top. And then another one where it looks like the top is sitting on top of the crate, but, turned to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
The
also,
crate is a jar.
not only that, but if you look on the left-hand side of that image at the bottom, you see them 2 jars?
Yep.
Those are in the folder.
Yep.
Those jars are.
It's probably where Genson got them, poking through them himself.
And then there's also some barrels that actually have, I think, 4 bands on it instead of just 2. And they're like more elongated versions of barrels.
Nice.
And it's stuff like that I keep running into in those folders that I'm kind of wondering, like, when are we getting this stuff? If they're that far along that they've already got some of the imagery already set up for it, then why don't we already have the props?
Especially
Yeah,
since
Tim,
we're doing-
And is it going to do any damage if we get it now?
No. What's up, Jill?
I'd like to promote an idea that we've kicked around on the previous show. Just live. We got to find a way to work with Daybreak, the community to work with Daybreak, to facilitate the development of props. So there are things in terms of props. There's certain stages of the prop work that can be done by players like Bob Dobb, everybody else who's using ZBrush or any of these other 3D modeling tools. There's got to be, first of all, they need a contractual agreement or a legal agreement so that these people can submit stuff, and there's a channel to compensate them for what they do, so that they don't set themselves up for legal issues down the road. But we need a way. There's so many people that have the skill. We need a way for people to submit the first couple of stages of the prop process, so then their artist in house can take those things and put the shading and textures on it that match what they're trying to achieve in game, which they can only do right there in their studio. That has to be on site. But a lot of that stuff, like the wire models and things, that stuff can be done by anybody outside. So I'd love to see them think about finding a way to facilitate that, because we already have that mindset. Landmark already has that mindset in a player-based community because we're helping them build EverQuest Next. So just put that out there for people to think about, and maybe we should do an article on the forums, or get Druid's Fire to
And
do
my
the piece.
question would be, at this point, why?
What do you mean, why?
Why
There's
do
lots
it?
of other competitions. There's lots of other races to build for.
Are there?
Yet. Yep.
Oh,
Really?
We've got Halas, we've got humans, we've got freaking
Dwarves?
dwarves, we've got Ixar, we've got probably the fairies, I don't know.
And then there's going to be the expansions for EverQuest Next. We're going to have gnomes at some point.
And
Unless
don't
they've all
forget, you've got
eaten.
certain NPCs that they might even come to us, like goblins and stuff like that. The pandas.
Yeah, we got Freeport.
And then how about just sci-fi props for use in Landmark? Man, you could cut Shatari loose and all these sci-fi builders. Let them build the.
Forgive my skepticism, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Well,
Sorry.
But just what I'm saying is they need to think about a way to facilitate that as a process. They were able to do this with Jinsan because he doesn't have to actually be in the studio to do what he does. He can develop artwork remotely, but every other aspect of development for EverQuest Next, you got to be there. You have to be in their studio. And there's little bits and pieces of the workflow process that could be done outside. And so I'm saying, well, find a way to facilitate that, in terms of contractual agreements and that sort of stuff.
I mean, we could possibly do a lot of the modeling and stuff for them, and just send the models into them and let them do the artwork for the models.
Yeah. Because the only reason they shy away from that right now is because of the legal issues, because that sort of open development process that's other games have done has set up the makers of those games for legal problems. So hey, we know what that challenge is. We know what that hurdle is. Get some boilerplate contracts in place. So for people that want to develop stuff, there's a channel. There's a channel for them to do it and be covered and be compensated for stuff that they accept that they decide to use.
Well, and I was going to bring this up actually right as soon as you were done, and Cody got to it in chat before me, but they were talking about doing something like that, very similar to that, with the Voxel Forge idea before all the layoffs happened. Now, that leads immediately to the question of, do they, Daybreak, still want to do that? Do they still want to go down that route? And if they do, then, okay, come on, let's do it. If they don't, then fine. Then
So now, and there's a difference there. If you're creating a prop with the Voxel Forge, which is let's say an in-game tool, just it's a feature, a function of the game. That's different, because if you use the game itself to make something, you've already signed a EULA for that. But if you're creating stuff in a third-party program application and submitting it to them, they need a mechanism and a channel for that we don't have right now.
I think they basically want, IP control. I think that's pretty much what they're doing right now, is just strictly IP control. They want to have full ownership of everything, no matter what.
It'd be nice to have. I mean, we sort of have that already in EverQuest and EverQuest Next, PlanetSide 2, where people are making stuff in their 3D modeling programs. H1Z1, I think. I know.
The thing is,
the more direct question is, does Daybreak want our help with that?
I don't think they do.
Me either, to be honest.
But they're getting it already with their other games.
Yeah, but that's the other games.
That's their other games.
They're well-established games.
Tenma, oh man.
Let's put it this way: in PlanetSide, okay, yeah, they do have a lot of stuff that is made by players and all that other kind of stuff. But who gets most of the money?
Daybreak gets most of the money.
No. The player gets most of the money. Daybreak just makes a portion of it. Pretty much like transaction fee and all that kind of stuff.
Well, a lot of the station cash that is spent on stuff in the store, or Daybreak cash rather, is gifted cash, or is part of your sub. You get that 500 station cash every month if you are subbed to their games. So, but anyway, but that's another conversation, actually.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess we can. Yeah, it's definitely a different subject. But I at this point in stage of the game, I just don't see him changing. I don't see him changing their mind on letting the players actually help with that, or being able to sell stuff that we've created in another game or another program inside the game. I don't see him changing that anytime soon.
I see them if they change anything, instead of opening more doors, they're going to be closing them instead. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I mean it's the way that they've been headed for a while, and that they have shown no signs of changing anything differently.
Well, when we talked to Domino, when we had her on the show, the Voxel Forge is still a thing for them. It's just there's so much coding, that they just don't have the bandwidth to get to. So,
I don't think we talked about the Forge. We talked about the Voxel editor. That's what we talked to her about. I don't know.
And we talked
about,
to him about both. Talked to him about both.
I missed part of it then.
Yeah, but
I know
but
the
it was same
editor
answer
is.
on both. It was the same answer that they want to bring those both to the game. There's a great need for both, but there is a ton of coding that has to be done, and then UI, and so it's and they've got other goals that have priority at the moment, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I saw well, that kind of gets off the off the whole Takish talk there. I think we'll save that to the closer to the end of the show, but let's go into the last image I have here, and that is the second sewer image. We've seen this build out pretty much. This right here is pretty much taken directly from the imagery. Hold on a second. Let me get what I'm fixing to say here correctly here. Pretty much straight from the build that Fugazi did. This drawing is basically just a mock-up of what Fugazi did. And you know, when I look at this, the first thing I'm looking at is the stuff that's hanging off the ceiling.
You know, I was going to bring that up.
We have some vines, but we don't have like stuff that looks like that.
Nope.
You know, yeah.
I've seen that done with voxels before, something similar to that, but I mean,
It looks like ass.
it works for what it needed to work for on those certain builds, but with something like that, we have to view it from all angles. No, that it wouldn't work.
It still looks like ass when it's made with the voxels like that. And I mean, yeah, it looks okay from a distance, but if I'm in that game play space and it's within, you know, like one character's length from me, it's going to look like butt, in my opinion.
And you'll collide with it if it's voxels.
Yeah.
Try to jump into it.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work. At least in my opinion, it just doesn't work. Let's see here. Not really much I could really say about on this particular image other than that. I mean, the rest of the plant work and all that kind of stuff, yeah. Putting these little streams in here, for the most part, is not something we can do. If you try to do it with the water voxels, it looks kind of funky. I still would love to have some green water to put down into a place like that.
That'd be nice.
You know, make it look like it's funky and stuff.
Yep.
What about lighting the water with green orbs
Tried it.
or spotlights?
Didn't work.
Yeah, but then it glows, and then it looks like you're got something along
It
the
looks
lines.
like toxic waste more
Yeah.
like it looks radioactive or like
Look-
just
Teenage
They're elves.
Teenage
It should be
Mutant Ninja Takish. You know, doesn't exactly work. And so yeah,
Okay.
that's a new one. I'm gonna have to make that logo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Takish.
Or to light it with purple orbs, indigo.
Yeah.
I tried everything, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't work.
But yeah, I saw quite a bit of stuff that was done with the sewer systems. I think some people had misconceptions about those sewer systems. And what I bring off of that is some of them got the idea and some of them didn't. They took basically what Fugazi had and just modified the actual pieces instead of making their own. You know, additional building for that, or like a cave section. They just took his modular pieces, threw them together, and changed a few voxels and submit.
Which they said would be okay if that's all the people could do. So.
Yeah. My lights just flickered here, so that's not going to be good.
Oh, wow.
You see that? Pray that I don't lose connection.
You have a
'Cause-
brownout?
No, I've got thunderstorms here, dude.
Brownout, yeah, sure.
I got thunderstorms going on here. This is like day
Whoa.
3.
That's crazy.
day 3 here. So if I disappear and y'all all of a sudden like freeze up or whatever, I know I've gone.
Or zombies come running into your room and bite the
Just
right side of
repeat
your
after
head
me.
off.
Tim. The house began to pitch.
Oh my god. But I don't even remember what we were talking about now. Y'all threw me off. But let's see.
Taking the sewer pieces and just decorating them.
Yeah, they just kind of like did some decorations in it, which it's cool because it gives some variances to the pieces. But some of them took and actually did them correctly, I believe, which was actually build sections which were like balsa rooms and all that kind of stuff, so you could just take those pieces and slap them together and it would all work. That's
Like
what
that guy right down there. Yeah.
that's what I took from it. Yarnilla did like spot on with that. That stuff is wicked.
Amazing.
He did a really good job with that.
He did.
So this kind of gets us over to this other website I've got, or web page I have here. And let me paste this in the channel. Which brings us to what we are building. This is a very short summary. Read the EQN novellas or watch the live stream for more info. What live stream?
Yeah.
All right. In relatively modern history, the elves established the Takish Empire and dominated Norath for hundreds of years through the use of immensely powerful high magic. The elves enslaved the other races on Norath, and even
There's a monster behind you, Gio. Jaden said.
and even
Very quiet.
and even explored the conquered other worlds. They were unrivaled in their power and wielding of magic and established strongholds across the entirety of Norath. Roughly 200 years before the start of EQN, the Dragon War all but destroyed the Takish Empire and forced the Combine to flee the continent entirely. Those few settlements that remained were scattered across the former empire, and many of those were lost to marauding members of the dragon armies. Scavengers looking for an easy hunt or simply died out after the collapse of their society. So what we're building is actually the remnants of the Takish Empire. And they're found by players 200 years after the empire collapsed. Some of the concept art shows Takish buildings at the height of their empire, but in modern times, the Takish buildings are at best deteriorating and at worst mostly ruins. So
Nothing I've seen looks like it's deteriorating.
nope.
Well,
Well,
they
they
did
can do
say
that
that they
themselves,
wanted it.
can't they?
They said they wanted it basically pristine if possible, and they could do the destroying themselves because they got some kind of better tech to do it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it would make sense because if you think about it, they're not dead. They just fled. So they could come back at some time, and they've got pristine buildings already to put out there. So it's a clever decision they did there.
Honestly, I think that would have been a better choice. Is don't even talk about ruins at all, and just do the builds and run with it.
It's not even so much that they fled, it's that they've lost the ability to use the high magic they created and maintain these buildings. That's why they're falling to ruin, besides the dragons.
How?
I say have the first 2 months of EverQuest Next be the dragons coming in, destroying the crap out of everything, and then they.
That would be
How
awesome.
do you lose
Epic.
magic
Oh.
access?
It's not so much access, it's the know-how, because when the dragons came, so many died. So there was no one to teach, and no one to teach them how to read the books and all that. They slowly died off, the ones that knew how to do it.
With every Takish elf that dies, a crystal forms.
Think of it this way: they all died, but some kids, and the ogres raised them.
Oh, God.
Now let's picture an ogre elf.
God.
My brain itched. Sorry.
Now with that, but that was a basic read up of what we were actually building for the competition, and they've got on that page that I just linked to everybody. There's like crap ton.
Hundreds.
There are so many things they've got up here. They wanted what area is it in? The Takish Empire conquered all of Norath, so your build could be placed pretty much anywhere. What did the Takish Empire do here? Military outpost and all that other kind of stuff is in here. What happened here when the Takish Empire fell? The dragons were the primary aggressors that destroyed the Takish Empire, but unrelated violent neighbors could have seized the opportunity to attack an outpost suddenly cut off from crumbling empire. Maybe this outpost actually held out by itself for a while. That's pretty good information there. What happened here since then? The Takish Empire outpost could have been lost, overtaken by nature or races, monsters, and stayed behind. Think about who knows of the ruins' existence and who, if anyone, uses it still. I thought that was pretty interesting information, especially when you're thinking about the actual build process. And they've got like four different states of the buildings, which is ruined, abandoned, taken over, and maintained.
I would have liked to have seen some taken over stuff, like some Takish
I saw
builds,
some.
but with some like lived in, like different
There was some out there.
different species. Oh, there are.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Jadam
made some.
Jadam made some. He did one where the Karens moved in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting combination.
Yeah.
yeah.
I beat up Jadam. I did. Just cause. Nah, Jadam's pretty cool. He knows how to put up with my crap. Jadam puts up with my crap. He's let's see. This kind of brings us into the building list, and they had military. I'm just going to read the sections that they had it in. They had military, residential, economy, and industry, government, and other. And I mean, they had a really long list of stuff in here. And when I did my build, yeah, industry.
I wonder how industry
the heck?
works with magic.
Yeah, what the heck? Well, it says cloth workshop, wood workshop, stone workshop, metal workshop, magic workshop, research facilities, architect studio, a foundry, fashion, design, armor specialist, weapon specialist, and statue of idealized elf. All that was industry. Now, let's back up for a minute when I'm thinking about this, because when I think about what they have here on that part of the list, I don't see elves doing jack crap. I see them like slapping a whip, and you know they've got freaking slaves doing it for them, just because they're snotty, you know.
Yeah, but they might still have the buildings for it though.
Yeah.
Where they put their slaves in.
I don't know. It's something
I mean,
to think
research
about.
facility definitely.
I
Magic
don't know.
workshop definitely.
Color me ignorant,
They'd
but
have that.
if magic, then why slaves? I mean,
Well, yeah, well, true. It'd be
Well, some
interesting.
things have to be done.
They have to, yeah. It'd be interesting to think
subjects.
about that, I guess. I don't know. Pretty interesting, though. But if you look down that list, there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know, that you could pick from. And what I ended up doing with mine today was I pulled mine back off of the competition and added one more thing to it. I did. I noticed that in the listing it said bathhouse. So I turned my build also into a bathhouse.
Sarah's made a good point. Good question.
Okay.
With how many people didn't join in on the Takish building, how much didn't get made out of this list?
Yep, that's the question I was about to ask.
A
I
lot.
said most of it.
Well, when we cruise through all the entries in the competition over the next 7 days, that's our mission. It's going to be to see what got made.
Now when I was
used in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is like this. When I was going through it and just giving feedback, there was like barely over 3 page, or barely into 3 pages. When tonight hits at 11:59, that number is going to be like, and it may jump out to like 6 pages, 7 pages, but I don't think it's going to go too much over that.
Gio, do you remember how many pages of Kino stuff there was? Wasn't there like 8, 9 pages of Kino stuff?
I think it was more than that.
There was way more than that.
4 pages right now.
Yeah, it's just 158 to be exact, was my last count.
There was so much Kino stuff. We do the show, and then Tidma would pick up our stream and continue. I mean, we seriously.
And there was a time when Pantera and I were doing it on Nightlife as well. I mean, we were doing 3 shows a day at some point, and still couldn't keep up with Kino stuff. So
there was so much stuff that out of the 3 streams, it still took us forever to do. It took us over a week, wasn't it?
1106 says Kino's had 6 pages at 100 each.
Yeah.
It says 1 page of 150 and 16 on the next page.
Yeah, and right now, Takish is nowhere near what Kino's was.
No.
Nowhere near it.
Maybe they'll figure it out that they screwed up a little.
Yeah. Anybody want to read off some of these construction guidelines? Or interested?
Let's see.
This is kind of interesting because this is the kind of stuff they're looking for almost in every competition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, construction guidelines, these are not absolute rules, but it's highly recommended you be aware of these and ignore them only for a very good reason, and preferably with dev permission. Wink, wink,
yes,
nod, nod.
by the way, for all of you.
Your build, number one, your build will be embedded into varied terrain. If you're not familiar with how our template spawning system works, it's easy to understand. To visualize it, take any big template that you've built, place a claim on some uneven terrain far away, like at the bottom of a hill or on a steep incline. Attempt to place down your template there and make everything look good. No terrain poking through the floor, no floating sections, etc. Terrain height will be extremely uneven, and we want to be able to place your template in as many different locations as possible. Your build needs to still look good when it is embedded into terrain, anywhere between 1 and 20 voxels deep. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. So, Tim, were you seeing that when you were perusing everything?
I saw a lot that did not have a base on it.
All right.
A lot that did not have a base on it.
You should not include ground terrain in your build. Very important. You should not include 20 voxel foundation on anything. Or I'm sorry, you should include a 20 voxel foundation on anything that touches the embedded side of your building, often just the bottom of the build. Mm-hmm. Some good examples of building foundations, and a great picture here. If everybody's on this Takish workshop competition.
I know this building because I offered to help him finish it because he never finished the build.
Spartan.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's the image that they're referring to right there. Notice how the stairs extend all the way down so it'll look natural if embedded 1 or 20 voxels deep. Mm-hmm. And then the next image, there's a bunch here. It just says, notice there doesn't need to be lots of detail in the embeddable section, but it will look good if above the surface in some areas. Nice. And then they got a picture of Nibiron's, and it says, notice how all the buildings are floating above the ground. Copy image URL, paste. There's that one. It says, notice how all the buildings are floating above the ground and are not attached to any terrain. This builder put in extra effort to label their modular pieces and keep them organized for us. Awesome, but not required. Awesome.
There were a lot of them that we saw that have terrain on the bottom, buried in things, tipped sideways, ruined according to the lay of the land. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, those things kill you in the competition because they're lazy. Okay, you have to think about that. You have to consider that they are lazy. They want to be able to take a template.
I prefer to say they are
and paste
busy.
Jeez. No, well, I'm just being honest here. I mean, they're lazy.
It's not a matter of being busy or lazy, or it doesn't matter. It's simple fact is the little slopey, hilly thing that you're building on is not going to be the same slopey, hilly thing that they build on. Period.
Exactly.
You get more simple than that. They asked you not to do it.
I can't wait till we get to see Domino and the rest of the team again at a next a Daybreak Live, because she is going to bitch slap you with a bagel or something, man. I can't wait.
Daybreak,
I would actually come to the
daybreak.
States and see that.
Well, I think of it like this. You know, if I'm building a world like that, and they give me all these templates, I just want to be able to take that template and go boop 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 and put them right into place, instead of having to go boop, paste, cut out a whole bunch of crap, put it in, and pray it freaking works. Okay? That's what you have to think about when they're working with these things, is how easy is it going to be for them to be able to place it down and not have to do all that. That's what they're looking for.
That's why Domino on the Kinos Island put stuff down with all the terrain around to say, this is what it looks like. This is why we ask you not to do it.
And I'm kind of glad, in a way, I'm kind of glad she did that.
Exactly.
And but I would have loved to have seen where all those pieces were put together, you know, exactly like a town. I would have loved to have seen it just put together like a town.
Some of it's just really some of the great builds. One of my favorite builds, Fallen Angel, is built into the terrain, and wow. So how they're gonna work that one, I don't know, but
they may not. Just because of that reason. So, all right.
Well, it's doable, but they're just going to require a lot of labor. Number 2, follow the Takish Empire style guide. Any material or shape is acceptable, but is highly advised to refer to the Takish Empire style guide to be consistent with agreed style. For more detailed explanations, more specific examples of in-game builds, please also watch the related workshop show episodes on YouTube.
Well, I find issue with this is the wording that they put in there. Any material or shape is acceptable, but is highly advised to refer to the Takish Empire style guide to be consistent with the agreed style.
They agreed among themselves.
They agreed.
We didn't agree on anything. They did.
We didn't agree on
their game.
Jack.
Yeah.
Because we really didn't have a lot of input compared to like the Karen.
True.
Did you click the agree button on the EULA? There you go.
Well, yes,
You agreed.
Yeah,
All right.
I guess I
Number
did.
3, make sure there's adequate play space. Wow. Most of the rooms and platforms should at least be large enough for several players to whoop some butt and several NPCs to exist and move
Back in 2
inside.
seconds.
The main rooms and buildings should have a clear space for movement that does not contain voxel structures or props. For a claim-size building, a good amount of clear space in the main room area would be approximately 70 by 70 voxels. That's for a claim-size building.
Now, for the most part, what I saw was basically 70 by I don't know, 210.
And here's the link of the example picture they gave. For an example of how open spaces feel with multiple players, NPCs moving around, watch The Morning Brew. It's good for you. And you could take a look at recent winners in the recent Kinos competition.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a giggle. You guys, what the heck are you doing? Timmy, you're playing Ark.
What? What are you talking about?
All right.
We ignored him and didn't laugh, apparently.
Yeah, not a single laugh. I think watch the morning brew. Thank you, Devlin. Number 4, creatable usable room sizes. Part of ensuring adequate play space is ensuring that your rooms feel good to navigate. To that end, we have some minimum values for specific construction elements. Note, smaller rooms can be used to produce specific types of gameplay, so they may be appropriate for some types of buildings or areas in your building, but if they're too small, they might cause problems for larger races. Remember that? Guys, large humanoids. Typhid.
Oh, come on. I'd love to see a Karen walk into a Takish thing and with the where it has that little point to just clunk right their heads into it.
Just eyes squint and their ears go back.
Just fall back.
So be aware of why you are breaking these rules if you do so in your build, and request feedback from other builders or the developers to make sure that it works. Remember that there might be many people moving around through high traffic areas. A bank would be a good place to allow extra open space, wink wink, nudge nudge, while a dangerous alleyway might benefit from feeling a little bit claustrophobic.
Nice one, Murin.
Oh, very nice indeed.
She goes, Karen walks into a Takish bar.
Ow! Yeah. Room height minimum recommended size is 30 voxels. More pictures here, but I won't link them. And they just give examples of this. Doorway recommended minimum size is 18 by 15. So go through and read this stuff. It's good. Make walls and floor thick. With previous builds, remember that the world is potentially destructible. Your walls and floors should be thick enough to absorb damage without immediately revealing the other side or appearing to be paper thin. Your walls and floors would not be hollow. Please be sure to make sure that there are no hollow areas behind the walls or doors. Fill them with sand or dynamite.
That right there is a very, very important part of your construction for the
Layer
competition.
your builds like they were real buildings.
Now, they have the ability to look at your build differently than what you do.
Yeah.
They can be able to see through walls.
They can fly right through
They
your
can
business.
fly through the whole entire thing and tell
They can
you.
ghost.
Yeah, they can see things that you can't, to find out if there's opening or hole spaces behind walls and stuff like that. Most of the time, some of the stuff can be ignored. But when
Find that watch I lost.
but
You can include props of any type, but they are not required. We are primarily going to judge on the voxel structure. Please avoid written text. Submissions owned by multiple creators will be accepted, but in any game prizes will go to the person who submits it. Good to know. Submissions that cause too much frame rate loss may be disqualified. It is also advised to check for issues before submitting. And thankfully, Tim has helped with a great deal of that during your shows. This last 5 shows you did?
Yep.
Pretty much? Okay.
Always.
Remember that submissions should look good at any time of day. All right. Well, never mind.
well, that kind of brings us to
Insert
something
smart
else.
ass remark here.
They wanted screenshots on the submissions, but it's funny. There's a bug that
Again.
sometimes that your submissions will not accept.
They're showing up in gallery, but not in the actual. When you click on the actual build, they're not there. None of them.
Showing up in the list, but not on the page.
Right.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So even if you just suck it up, that's all I can really tell you. They will go to your build. They will look at it. I don't think the images are that important just because of that reason now. So
No.
don't
And
worry
the
about
last
that.
bullet point is probably the most poignant. Please have fun.
Yeah.
What if
After
I
all,
don't want
it's a game.
Yeah, but what if I didn't want to have fun?
There will be other competitions and other building opportunities, and if this is not one of that interests you, there should be others in the future. Let's
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And then they go on to talk about modular sewer styles and
Yeah.
good stuff. Good post here, man. Good post. And
Yeah,
for
but
the-
it's
just dropped in.
it's a lot to take in.
the whole post.
It is a lot to take in, but the best thing to do is just find something and run with it when it comes down to the competitions. I did my build in 3 days, and then spent 2 days doing tinkery bits, and that's about it. The last competition, it was totally different. I worked through the whole entire workshop and worked all the way through the time that they gave us, and I will never do that again.
Did you have trinkets as well? Takish tinkery trinkets? Totally?
Totally. I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
So, hey, do we have time for
Emma?
Cantina, did you listen to that tune?
I did not. You said you guys
Ah,
are
the
talking about
music.
listening to it here.
Yeah.
One
So I
second.
waited.
One second. Yarnella, what's up?
I think it'd be a good time to do the announcement about what Rosie said.
Yes.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Gio didn't know about this. Gio didn't know about this.
News! Yes!
Well,
all right.
I contacted the devs because I'm doing some additional work to my sewers, and I asked them if they wanted to take a look at it, even though it's not going to be in the competition. And the response I got from Rosie is this one. Really good question. I'm going to set up a place on the forums to submit screenshots of pieces that missed competition deadlines. I don't want to miss out on these good pieces. On the forum, they can continue to get feedback if necessary, and we can review them from there. When there is a really good one, we can announce it somehow and add them to the museum islands with a title like Outstanding Build or something along those lines. They won't become competition winners, but they can still get used in EverQuest Next and recognized. That's the information I got from Rosie.
That is fabulous news.
You're not putting the source in the competition?
Devlin.
Does that mean what I think it means?
What?
Tacos.
Because tacos.
Yes.
It certainly sounds like you can now, if you miss out on a competition deadline, or if you get into the game late, kind of like how I did, or some people that are just now getting into the game, and you want to do something like a Dark Elf build, you can now submit it, and it could be taken into consideration.
Not for a winner's position because you missed the deadline.
Position,
no trophies,
But you still
could still be used in the game.
Yes.
And it'll be recognized because you get that plaque still.
Yes.
And to me, you know what? That is just common
Nice.
sense. I love it. I applaud
Yes.
Rosie. Wow.
Yes.
Yarnilla, man, that's huge.
Okay. Now, does that
pretty
mean
good.
you're not submitting your source?
No, the sewers are in there. It's just
Oh,
the
okay.
piping system that
Don't scare me like that.
Wow.
After all that,
All
I
right.
would have to hurt you.
So it's off to Geo now.
Man, so folks, Jeremy Soule just released a new song for Landmark, and wow! So I got a notification in my SoundCloud app, and I went to listen, and holy crap! I tweeted it out earlier. Click the link, and then follow the link to SoundCloud to listen to the music.
So,
But it's called Landmark: A New Day by Jeremy Soule.
So what you're saying is there's an app for that.
There is. SoundCloud does have an app. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. You will find here, well, over the next few months, you'll find the entire, the full set of music for my album there, as well as other work I do.
But if you guys haven't listened to that music out there in Twitch land, do yourself a favor, go listen to it. It is some beautiful music. It is very well done.
Cool. I'll go ahead and retweet this out over on Twitter.
I was looking desperately for a download link so I could just have that on loop and just play it and just turn the in-game music all the way down, because it's better than anything else in game, honestly, in my opinion.
And Tim, can you play that on the stream?
Give me a second. I'll try. No guarantees, but I will attempt.
When I was listening to that, I was seeing in my head like this big montage video, just of like player creations.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same for me, Devlin. That's cool. And if you're not already following Jeremy Soule on Twitter, highly recommend it.
Everybody impatiently waiting.
It's playing on the channel. It's just not playing in Skype.
That's very pretty.
We might have to make that the Let's Talk Landmark theme song.
You know, I was thinking about saying something about that. It's some good music.
That's pretty cool. Pretty
It is
cool.
nice.
Well,
I'll just let it run in the background here while we're talking.
I don't think there's been any official announcement, but they did say that Jeremy was in the studio recording some more music for them. And well, here it is.
Awesome.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
that's gone into my streams.
I'm wondering, has this been added yet?
I've not heard
To
it in
the game.
I don't know. I don't listen to
I
music
would-
in the game.
I would think that would arrive maybe with open beta.
Well, if you think about it, a new day, it's a kind of given. That's going to come
Dave-
somewhere down the line when they go open beta or something like
A
that.
new day, daybreak.
Or it could be, you know, there's some assign a morning song and whatever that might be.
No, I don't even want to think about that. Don't do that to me.
There's the
Too
link
late.
again.
Yeah, definitely check out the song. Jeremy Souls does a pretty awesome job. He did all the music for Landmark up to this point. I'm pretty sure he's probably the guy that's going to be doing it for EverQuest Next as well. So
Makes sense.
he's a
He's
guy to
already
follow.
contracted.
Yeah,
He already has some music for EQN.
yeah.
Yep.
If you go through one of the rewards for going through the game, the app on the phone for finishing, one of the rewards was a song that he's written for EverQuest Next.
Cool. Well, the only thing that I can say is I want my Keno's trophy. I want my Keno's trophy.
Have we seen what that's going to look like?
We don't even know if it's going to exist.
They said they were working on it the last show.
I still want it. So, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But
Yeah, Kill Cannon says Jeremy also did the music for Guild Wars. Yeah, if just search for Jeremy Soule on SoundCloud and you'll see everything he's got submitted up there. He's got a ton of stuff. He's done music for a lot of different games.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Talented guy.
But yeah, I was shocked that when that was kind of brung up about the actual trophy for Keno's, that they hadn't even took the time to even think about even making one. That shocked me.
It makes no sense.
It's like props and that sort of thing is not. I don't know. They don't even think about it or something. I don't know.
Well,
Like
they
it's
just
just importance to them.
It's
but this
important
is
to
all
me.
About them.
It's important to me.
Exactly.
You know, it makes the difference in between, you know, making the doors and stuff like that the way they want them, and us just winging it. That's the big difference. And that's why I really would like to see props given to us prior to the competition that fits whatever it is that we're doing the competition for. Now, if they're the ones that are picking the competitions now instead of letting us vote on them, then that should not be a problem.
Correct.
At all. No
Yep.
problem there. Okay? Now, that's pretty much my end statement for the show. Poof, right there. That's my complaint.
You dropping the mic?
I'm dropping the mic. Bam! Colossus rules! Bam!
Jeez.
So, but yeah, it's, and that was a play off something that happened at SOE Live, by the way. But, anybody got any ending comments?
Yeah. Tune in.
Gio.
Tune in. Morning Brew. We're going to be doing the Takish tour.
Tina.
Good luck to everybody who's under the crunch for tonight.
Yeah. Devlin.
I like waffles.
Yarnilla.
Hurry up, Moen.
All right.
Emma.
And basically, it depends on how fast Gio goes with his walkthroughs.
Oh, God.
If he's really super slow, I may pick up a few for him after. But
Oh, she's ready.
okay, we'll see. And but that's kind of how we're gonna kind of play that. I'll let Gio make that decision on if he's going through it as quickly as he wants to, because the voting
The voting wraps on Tuesday
yeah
of next week.
yeah
A week from
Okay.
today.
so we'll see how that kind of pans out. And
You're
And
in
Gio,
finish.
what about your 1-year anniversary, sir?
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you, man. 1 year anniversary this week is the 1 year anniversary of the Morning Brew. I started this with my good friends Derek and Bob, and wow, man, I had no idea it was going to lead to all this.
Did I have a 1 year anniversary? I don't remember.
Yours would have been a while back, man.
You
My-
talked about it, but you didn't do nothing.
Yeah, mine was like March.
So we'll do an anniversary week after the Takish competition is over.
Yeah, I think mine was like March the 3rd, March the 5th, or something like that. I didn't write it down, but it was like right in the beginning of March. I blew right through my first 1 year anniversary. Oh well.
Gonna live?
Yeah.
You sure?
All right, so thanks everybody for joining us for episode 39 of Let's Talk Landmark. Definitely next Tuesday will be episode 40. Big 40, same age as me.
Just a youngin'.
And I will say, I noticed some Twitter feeds that came out today that blew my mind, and I want this guy on the show.
Oh, yeah, him.
Who?
Hold on.
You know Gio. I sent you the screenshots.
Yes, you should. Hold up. I'm finding that tweet.
The
now.
the character models, Tenma, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh,
I
goodness.
want
Yeah.
that guy on the show.
Yes.
I'm having to scroll down for okay, there it is.
Skills, that guy.
Yes, those character models were jaw-dropping.
Satoshi Arakawa. That guy is amazing. And I would love to bring him here on the show and pick his brains.
Check this out.
They look like action figures.
Check out that link. That's the link to the tweet. Wow. Yeah.
I would get them as action figures, man.
Yep, damn right.
Oh, right
damn
up there.
That guy is phenomenal, guys. Definitely check out his work over on Twitter. It'll link you to all the stuff that he's got posted out. The work that he does is phenomenal.
Dude's a beast.
But I would love to bring him on the show just to have him kind of walk us through his day. You know.
Yeah, no kidding. He's only got
oh my
54 followers on Twitter. Man,
Shameful.
Burn up that follow button, everybody.
Yeah.
That guy is awesome.
But with that, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you guys next week, next Tuesday, same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, God.
Same.
Don't even go there. No more Batman.
Hey, Batman. Hey, Batman. She totally loved it. Have a good one,
Drop that
guys.
guy's link to his Twitter channel, his Twitter feed in the chat. Check it out.
Great. Have a good one, guys.
Good night, folks.